I tried to change the screen. I had it showing everything, and I tried to change the screen, and then something went wrong. Oh, there we go. I got the HDMI hooked up.
Sure, it's
3.
Oh, it wasn't plugged in?
No, it's in
well,
the
you had 1. There's 3.
There we go.
Okay.
You have to put your ID in.
Oh, you have to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you already.
Well, I did, but it's not giving me an opportunity to put it in again.
Oh, you don't have to now because you're plugged
Okay.
in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just trying to decide on what to show everybody for this. Let's go live. Analytics. There's one viewer there at the beginning. There we go. You want to start that thing recording?
Okay, Glenn, once you get let me go ahead and get started and give the date. We're live.
Okay, today is the 26th of February, 2025, and it's our regular Wednesday night meeting. And we're going to interview Nelson Dice, who has done a bunch of research about the Constitution. I'm just trying to figure out which screen to show. Maybe I'll show this one. Anyways, yep, okay. So, Nelson, I'm just trying to think of, there we go. We got to see if how the sound is coming through. Fuck off. Can you give us a thumbs up if you're getting good sound? Test, test, test. Let's see here. And then there's this. This is all right, that's the sound. Test, test, test. I don't know if we need that or not, but this has got a speaker in it.
Did you get anybody to reply back to if they can hear you?
Sounds good, Brian says.
Good.
Can you, Nelson, can you speak and see if they hear that too?
Yes, this is Nelson, native Pennsylvanian, visiting the Republic of Texas
Can you hear Nelson?
on February 26, 2025.
Sounds like, well, they're not giving us a thumbs up on Nelson. See, there's a camera up there, and I'm not sure how to get this camera working.
I'll go get G again.
Yeah. And we're trying to get this thing up and running. So we're trying to get this camera working, if we can get it working, and then we want to make sure that like they can hear me no problem, but I'm not sure if they can hear that.
You plug this in.
Oh, there we go. That makes too much sense.
Do you have a Type C port?
No, well, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, you better. I can plug this in directly.
I got USB ports, but that's it. No Type C. Nelson was not as loud, but it does sound clear. So, anyways, let's go
Are you trying to
ahead.
get the sound or just the video?
Well, we wanted the sound at least, but
Sound.
Just the sound for right now is good.
well, I've already got it up, turned up full blast.
Because he's got, well, that,
Oh, I see. There you go.
There we go. So that's coming from TV.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So all sounds coming from TV now.
Okay, so they're going to hear us through the TV too?
Oh, they hear you from the laptop.
Okay, but that's why I wondered is because I'm on YouTube. So I wanted to make sure they can hear. We're going to have a discussion.
So they can hear the YouTube coming from your laptop, yes.
Well, they actually can hear it. It's not as loud. They've already told me Nelson's not as loud, but sounds clear.
They said Nelson the video?
Nelson, right there.
Oh, okay.
He spoke, and we gave it a test, and
You have no Type C ports.
yeah. Have you got a USB adapter? You can get USB adapters. We didn't bring one.
The C to
If that's-
Yeah, let me see if we have.
I had a bunch of them at home. Didn't think to bring it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Got about a couple thousand of them.
Probably.
One second.
Anyways, we're getting things rolling here. Nelson has done a lot of research on the Constitution. So he's going to talk about the Constitution and the organic documents and why they're important, and some of the things that went on in the Constitutional Convention that most people don't know and that are important for us to know now. And I'll let Nelson talk about it. But
was it possible for you to bring up the documents on the screen?
I sure can.
Can you go direct to them? off
This is the
screen?
Constitution right here.
Yeah, these are, this is a version that I use in the midst of my determining what documents were the best versions to study from, because if I'm studying a bad version, then I have bad output. And this one here is available. I highlighted clauses that were important to me, and they are not all clauses are as important as others to me in the Constitution. And this is, I should note, is the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah, and so why don't you start off? You found at least two constitutions. You want to start off with explaining that?
Yeah. Do you want to put this in front of the camera, Darren, for me? This is the Constitution of the United States. And this is a...
See, that's where the camera that I want to get working is that one up there, so then we can hold it up. Right now, that's just going to be on my camcorder. And this is live. That's not going to go live on YouTube.
I see. All right, this document is Senate Document 116-3.
It's one of those little pocket constitutions that you can buy almost anywhere. But if you look in the back, it tells you where they get it from. And he's explaining that Senate document, what now?
116-3.
116-3, Senate document 116-3. And so that gives it some validity. But anyways, I'll let Nelson go ahead and explain, all of this. Maybe I'll just aim the camera or the mic.
Can they see what you had up there on the screen?
I'll share that.
Yeah, that's where I would say. Well, I mean, we're jumping ahead already. I mean, I had started with the Declaration of Independence, and we were really just going through that. So,
Okay, so you want to go to the Declaration of Independence first?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you have the one.
I have the best one, the one that you call the best.
Right.
So I'll get it.
So to repeat, the organic law is comprised of 4 documents, which are the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, the Northwest Ordinance, and the Constitution of the United States. They are the most important documents to learn, to study, and to become familiar with. The Declaration of Independence, what I learned in the process of being falsely accused, falsely incarcerated, falsely tried, is that if you'll notice, I highlighted some important points about the way that a particular word is styled, STILED.
So, Nelson, why don't you tell us about style and why that's important?
Well, I learned that style is important because the definition of style is a set of steps. So if we were in merry old England, a style was a set of steps to go from one field to another. So sheep would be in one field, and then there'd be a wall, and the set of steps would be how to get from one place to another. So there was a style committee for the Constitution, and I'm confident that the same was the case for all the documents. People would make sure that the style imparted the true meaning of what they were trying to convey. So, in Congress, July 4, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States. Could you enlarge that so I can see?
I just did, but I'll put it on the screen like that if that's what you want.
Please.
It's about as big as you can get it for YouTube. But anyways, go ahead.
That's good. So if you notice the word United States of America, I never knew that the Declaration of Independence was the unanimous declaration of the states of America. And they're united. But if you notice, the word united is in lowercase, which indicates common law, as opposed to states of America, which are capitalized in proper form. And I do have a guest here who has a English lit. You a PhD, Joe?
No, my major in college was English literature.
English lit.
So what is? I believe what you're referring to is the all caps name.
No, I'm just referring to the different way that words
words are capitalized.
Right.
So when a word is capitalized, it indicates it's subject to something or someone. This is my current understanding. I'm always open to correction. But if you'll notice, states of America, both are capitalized. So America is capitalized, so that means what's under America, and that's the states are under America. And then the word united is the 13 united, and the word unanimous. That's all the common law people making a declaration. So the declaration is of the people. And if you'll notice in the next line or two, it says one people. And there it is not capitalized, which means they're referring to the common man. So as we go through the Declaration of Independence, how words are written convey a meaning. So the 13 states, the people of the states were united in common law. So we've gone through, if I remember right, we got through the Declaration of Independence last time down to where we were discussing.
So the Declaration of Independence is basically a list of grievances, right?
Yes.
Where were we when, in your previous presentations that we had, where were we? Did we go? We
were down to where it's our right, it's our duty to throw off such government. So just highlight the it's down.
Is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, or is that after? That's after the grievances, I think, isn't it?
Well.
Oh, here we go. No,
Okay.
it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. Throw off. That's an act of violence.
Right. And actually, one of my friends who's passed away claims, and I agree with him, it's been my experience, that the other organic law, the 3 documents, is what they were provided to us over time to throw off any government at any time. When we're approached by a official, we stand in our common law right, and we can change the government right at that moment. We are not obliged. And they are in treason when they do not bow to us. As a result of the war, as a result of the Treaty of Peace, as a result of this Constitution, as a result of, so that's my thinking. And it has been my experience. Now, because government doesn't learn too quickly, and they've been so used to getting their way in their tyranny, absolute tyranny over these states, as we see constantly on YouTube. Police officers all over America continue to assault and sometimes murder people.
Well, they do it on a routine basis.
On a routine basis. So if you would
call
go
you
back,
a terrorist and then kill you, and then they're justified.
Right. So if you would go back and look at all the words I had highlighted, and then we'll pick up here. So there was reasons why I highlight, and if you send Glenn an email, he'll send you this document.
Yeah, I'll send anybody that asks me for these documents. I'll send you. They're Word files, so they're not very big. I'll email them to you.
Okay, so one people is common law. Then it says, okay, let's look at this right of the people, as opposed to one people, so that whenever any form of government, when I'm assaulted on the side of the road by a government official, or when I'm traveling in a vehicle or car and I'm not driving in commerce, is that when the government is becoming destructive of these ends? What are these ends?
Your end is your right to travel.
And the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
That's right.
Unalienable rights. So that to secure these rights, what's the purpose of government? Government is secured. Government is instituted among men to secure the rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So if they're not doing that for us, then we have the right to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. Now remember, it's important to try to keep our minds in the moment of 1776, because everything from 1776 on has not happened when this is written. And what we tend to do is to conflate various times and seasons, and that's one of the things that causes us confusion. So what I learned to do was to study the documents in the time frame that they were written. and to not speed ahead and jump ahead. And that allowed me to better understand what was happening in the moment in that season of America's history. So it's the right of the people to institute new government, and I have succeeded in instituting new government. I should say we, because this is a common law effort. We, the people, have succeeded in replacing a gold-fringed flag in a municipal city council with that's the flag of the United States, a maritime commercial jurisdiction, semi-martial law rule. It's the lowest form of martial law rule.
What's that?
What's
Martial law rule.
which is the least restrictive?
Well, martial law rule is the one that can go on for centuries.
Right. So we're under martial law rule at the moment.
We are.
But that doesn't mean that we have to submit to martial law rule. And that's the incongruity of the way the government thinks, and the way we, the free people, the small one people, can actually cause them to come to heel.
Okay, thanks for checking.
So the new government is when we, as an individual man, institute new government when we are assaulted or approached by someone who doesn't know their place. So in the Declaration of Independence, we will discover some of the means by which the King of England and Parliament and his redcoats and officers were here amongst us, and nothing has really changed. Because we do have a republic, Franklin stated, if we can keep it. So we keep it by understanding, knowing, and being able to exercise the keys of the founding documents, which are the organic law. So unless you study the organic law, pretty much you're doomed to be constantly at their mercy, as opposed to reversing who's in charge here. So, new government. All right, so it says laying its foundation on such, this is the Declaration of Independence, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. So my safety and happiness is, I'm the one that determines my safety and happiness. If I have not violated anyone's rights of property or person, then I am to be left alone by government. But unless we reestablish ourselves as men on the land and not subjects of the king under maritime jurisdiction of the United States, these are the hooks they put in us to be able to yank on our. Could you turn that down? Reduce that. Okay. Thanks. So, prudence will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and that's kind of what they've conned us into accepting. It's been this way for 100 years. Why are you being combative and resistant to our government, meaning their government? And the answer is because you're affecting my life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's why. And so what Charlie taught me was that these founding documents were everything we needed. He couldn't understand before he passed away why he wasn't experiencing the freedom that we were taught is ours as Americans. And so he began to study the Constitution at length. and discovered some of the keys that are in there, which led us back to these documents we're going over. Okay, so mankind. Accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind, notice the lower case, the common man, we are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed, meaning our parents and grandparents taught us to do things according to the way they were trained, and that's why we have forms that we need to abolish. Forms. A form is for example, in concrete work, when you create a form and then pour concrete in it, that becomes the form of resistance to overcome. Now, we can use forms to break down or overcome. Not all forms are bad, because I have now returned to the form of the founding fathers, of what they gave us after, it says here, but when a long train, this is July 4th, 1776, and the colonists tried to get along with England, but Parliament, from their high horse, decided we needed to be taught a lesson, and so they were passing laws restricting various freedoms, including having police officers essentially being able to come into our house without a warrant.
Yeah, they were living with them. Remember, they were forcing them to put them up in their house, and that's why the Third Amendment. And you have to understand that the people that wrote this, Jefferson's the guy that wrote the Declaration of Independence, and he was brilliant. He was a child prodigy. He was a lawyer when he was 16 years old. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. And the words are everything when it comes to this stuff. They had a style committee. And this is one thing that Nelson pointed out that he hasn't mentioned yet, but they had actually a style committee, a group of them that decided which words had to be capitalized and which ones didn't. And
also what words to rephrase as well to bring about what they would. So then they would present it to the group that were at Independence Hall. This is Constitution now.
This is for the Constitution, but the words and the capitalization is all absolutely critical.
Right. So again, to repeat, when a word is capitalized, it means it's subject to something or someone. And this is why when a style of a case or a style of a name is all capitalized, that means it's completely subject to something or someone. Now, in my case, the all caps name that I use now is subject to me, pretty much. I've been able to overcome most of their presumptions. I'm not completely there yet, but there is a way to basically take complete control over it, and that's what Glenn has been talking about, the minor estate, because to overcome their presumption of rule over that name and by adhesion, the body attached to the name, all we have to do, in my view, is to take control of the security. So until such time as I do that, which I have not completely, then at that point I would then be completely in charge.
Those are rules that they made up, and they made them up so they can use it as an excuse to violate your rights. I mean, you have to know that. That's the same stuff that went on that caused the War of Independence in the first place. It was because of that Cesta KV Trust Act of 1666. And so I think that's a cop-out, quite frankly. Don't get me going. You're going to get me going now. But anyways, go ahead, Nelson.
Let's proceed. Could you move it down a little? Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies. Go ahead, Glenn.
And a long train of abuses and usurpations. Think about it. So in 1901, they passed a code of law for the District of Columbia that brought that minor estate that was created by the Vatican into America. And so then they went, and the government went bankrupt and got seized by the Vatican, who are Satanists, they're liars, they're thieves, And so now they're the ones that are running the government. So you can see the long train of abuses and usurpations. It's just one thing after the next. And absolute despotism, that's a dictatorship, folks. That's exactly what it is. They're using the Commerce Clause to bring about a dictatorship. That's exactly what's going on. Anyways, go ahead, Nelson.
In my opinion, in my perspective, the minor estate is not evil by itself. The evil comes when the evil men use something for evil. There is a good reason for a minor estate. The reason for the minor estate is because when a man went to sea and he never returned, then the state had to step in and take care of his estate for him and his heirs. And until such time as he returned, the state was responsible to act properly as a trustee. The problem is that they've designed the system now to basically declare all of us dead, lost at sea first for 7 years, then legally declared dead, and we have no voice. And so our inheritance has been being bled off by
Pirates.
So when the rule was when you came back from sea, you would go and declare yourself home and alive, and not only would your estate that you had when you left be returned to you, but all of the fruit that had been generated, and if they had used it, they had to return it. So I don't think it's all that bad it's because we haven't learned about it, which is why I feel that it's been such a problem. But the people who were in America in 1776 and yes, had been abused by the minor estate, that's why they were so insistent on the common law being number one. And so estates were protected. And if I had children or people who I wanted to convey the estate to, I had to take care of my estate, that when I passed on, my heirs would properly receive what was mine. And so we, the people, in my opinion, own America. My understanding is, I can't prove it at the moment tonight, but the country owes not a dime. It's all the government that owes the money. That's why they set up D.C. to handle the economic aspect, that the government would be on the hook, but the land itself could never be hypothecated to by a monarch to bankers, and therefore we would wake up homeless like Jefferson talked about. But we can reverse it. That's the genius of what the founding fathers did, is they knew that someday the bankers with their bar members would snooker us out of our inheritance. So they gave us a way back to recover what had been stolen with all the interest, etc., etc., etc. I have a document which shows that the Federal Reserve in 2011 had a credit card valued at $14 quadrillion. That's where people think they create money out of nothing. No, they are just issuing currency based upon the sweat equity of the nation for the last 248 years, plus before that.
They're having trouble hearing you really well, Nelson. So let's move this microphone over closer, and maybe that'll help.
Okay, so we're going to go back and get going on the Declaration of Independence. So the King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object, the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. Then this is where they start the Bill of Indictment. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He refused his assent to laws, and anyone who's here is welcome to interject at any time.
So these are a list of grievances that, let's see what the comment is, first of all. says is away at sea. Status the same as the off on a crusade
A cruise.
in the Magna Carta.
Yeah, I would say yes in a general sense. Yes.
Okay, and
Good questions.
the says why would anyone risk life and limb, gamble their fortune and posterity to reach Ellis Island? Anyways.
All right, if you go back to your big screen.
Okay, so these are a list of grievances, and you can actually see when you think about these, they're going on today. It's the same stuff.
So if anyone wants to send Glenn an email, just ask him for the best version and you'll get this document. This document is perfect in punctuation and grammar of the original.
Yeah, right. Nelson actually got certified copies of the original documents from the National Archives, right?
Right.
And so he's compared them to make sure that the capitalization and everything is correct.
Right, and I paid for them, but you're welcome to them for free. If you just ask Glenn, he'll send you this document that you're viewing on the screen, plus the certified copy, because if you get involved with any of these Satanist courts, you can start building your case. So the king has refused his assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. So how many judges do we know and prosecutors that are refusing his assent to laws that are wholesome? The king has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance. Can we say?
So all the governors, okay, were servants of the king and could be removed by the king at any time, and so
Right, but they had authority to pass laws.
matter of fact, they did. But the who was the Benjamin Franklin's son was one of the governors, right?
Of the royal colony of New Jersey, and he was arrested right after we signed the Declaration of Independence.
Right, and he was kept in custody for some time and then shipped back to England, right?
Yes, because he had married an aristocrat. One thing I want to point out, Glenn, you have stated, and falsely I believe, or incorrectly, that the Sestake Trust back in the 1900s was brought in.
It was with the Code of Law for the
1901.
District of
Okay.
Columbia.
Well, let me tell you, in my experience, guess where I found that the Sestake Trust was returned to these lands? And the answer is 1844 in the New Jersey Constitution. The Sestake Trust is there.
Well, it's so then it may be, but that just means New Jersey.
Correct.
Okay, and that doesn't mean the rest of the country. In the Code of Law for the District of Columbia, it was brought in all over.
Right. So he has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained.
There's a code.
And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. So the immigration problem is essentially the IMF, the King of England, the bankers wanting to destroy the sovereignty of our land, of our nation, of we the people, and they're doing it through suspending. Didn't it feel like that they were suspending laws that we can see on the books and yet no one's enforcing them? So I think so. So he has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, notice the small p, the common people, unless those people would relinquish the right. Could you page down a next page, please? He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature.
Yeah, isn't that outrageous?
a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants
Only, yeah, no shit. They want you to give up your rights to be have some effect over the laws.
Right. So here's where Charlie, God rest his soul, taught me about representation in the legislature. Since I'm not a citizen of the United States and I refuse to vote for anyone in the legislature, I can claim what is it, when I'm inoculated, I'm not subject to the laws of New Jersey. Oh, hey, folks.
A couple more people are joining us here, but anyways, go ahead, Nelson.
Probably that seat over there, and maybe move another one, unless you want to be in the shop.
Well, it's a live stream. That's just being recorded.
Won't catch me.
Okay.
That's being recorded.
Well, down the road.
So that may or may not be used. It's being live streamed right now on YouTube.
So, because I do not accept small c, citizen of the United States, which is a 14th Amendment citizen, then I could care less what they do in Trenton, New Jersey, where I'm currently domiciled. It's meaningless to me. Now, they have presumed, by virtue of the Constitution of New Jersey that was from 1947, where a judge may send us to order us a mental evaluation for competency to stand trial without a trial. That's what they presumed they could do. So essentially, they're in a lot of hot water. And Glenn has helped me already get at least 2 high-level officials banned from office. But we haven't even gotten around to prosecuting them. So we're but just the little bit that he does. He filed 40 criminal complaints against 40 individual men and women who had violated the founding documents, the organic law that I'm referring to, as a man.
To which I am referring.
Okay. Is that okay?
Proper English.
To which I am referring.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Joe. That's why we have you around. We definitely need English. Yeah. So the words are powerful. So the king called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records. Has anybody ever tried to get a public record that they won't give us because it's going to cause them
Well, we just don't do that. That's all.
a great deal of difficulty in as far as someone. I know that there's people who can't get their public records because it would condemn and basically cause there would be proof that the public officials violated the organic law and would subject them to a federal indictment. Why? I asked the city that I'm from. I asked city council, which the gold fringe flag has been replaced by the non-gold fringe flag in city council chambers. I refused to stand for over a year and pledge allegiance to the flag, and when I would get up to make my public comment, I would explain why I'm not standing. And various people during the course of the year or so would almost come to tears because they were mistaken, thinking that that's the right flag. So I asked city council at various times, I said, if you'll just put my flag up there, the one that's flying outside, you guys are all pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States, but out of your mouth is coming the words, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. That gold fringe flag does not stand for the republic.
That's right.
That's right.
So I said, at least put my flag up. At least if they're both up there, then I can stand. It sounded so absurd. And week after, twice a month, they would stand and pledge allegiance to a communist flag. I was wondering how long it would take them.
At least a foreign flag.
And then one day,
They changed the flag.
they changed it when a man who literally he almost came to tears because he started talking about the veterans that gave their lives for that flag, the gold fringe flag.
Wasn't the gold fringe flag they fought for, though?
Exactly. So I stood up and stated to them I said at that meeting, I explained to the gentleman why I do not stand. And if they would replace it, I would be the first to stand. And do you know that while Glenn was having one of his Northeast private information shares, that was the time it was replaced? So during one of the weeks we were there, we took a field trip to City Hall and went up behind made an inspection of the flag. It was so new, it was still wrinkled. The flag, it had come out of the cellophane wrapper, I guess. So why is that important? Because that now means that the Republic has been restored to anyone who wishes to claim it. It also protects the municipal chief of police who had been 6 times arrested me on it with a capious warrant, something not signed by a judge and not stamped with a court seal.
Right. How do they pretend to enforce that? You point out to them, look, this is just a piece of paper. There's no judge signing it. There's no stamp
The
of
judge's
court.
name,
It's
the judge, take it up with the judge. Our orders are to arrest you and to offer you bail. So what I did was I refused bail.
Right.
I refused to pay BAAL.
Right.
There you go.
You just said.
And I said, they said, are you going to county jail and not going to pay us bail so we can release you? I said, that's correct.
I'm not being involved.
Well,
Yeah.
it was hilarious. And I say that in front of city council.
Right.
And that has effect. So basically, I'm there to educate. I'm not there to condemn anyone unless their actions and words deserve condemnation. But by our words, we're justified, and by our words, we are condemned. So I allowed the city council to continue to condemn themselves by pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, facing the gold fringe flag week after week after week, month after month.
But look, the legislative power is incapable of annihilation. They return to the people. That's us. When the government doesn't obey the law is not annihilated. Everybody knows what right and wrong is. It returns to the people.
This is
At
the
large.
genius. This is the genius going back to the Magna Carta and forward with the trial by jury, etc.
History is repeating itself right in front of your nose.
Right, and that's why
is.
if anyone has ever read the what were those letters that were written to get the Constitution passed?
Or the Federalist Papers?
Yes, the Federalist Papers. There's over 80 of them. I read them while I was
You know
incarcerated.
who wrote them?
John Jay
It's mostly John Jay.
and actually mostly Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
And then there was one more.
I don't know.
There was one more, right?
Well done.
Yes.
It was Alexander Hamilton. To a large extent.
Right. So check this out. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. How many of us have been fatigued?
They do it all the time. This is their modus operandi. This is their
Yeah, no
stock and
shit.
trade. That's how they conduct business.
Yes, and that is why as we have our muscles restored, each man, then we can together circle them and cause them to suffer.
Let me draw your attention to the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. We're sitting here as we sit here right now. We've been invaded and our government is convulsing.
Yes. Well, you're jumping ahead, Joe. Let's go back. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for what were we? What was? We were opposing them. So we were opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. Can we say militia? Now, we're not against the government. We're against a tyrannical government that isn't abiding. So we've allowed it to get away from us for 100 years or more. And thankfully, they're starting to recover. But what Charlie taught me is it doesn't matter. What the Founding Fathers said, if there's one man that knows this, what we're going over, they can overrule the tyranny of the government, capital G, whether it be state or federal. So what we have to understand, what I'd like people to understand, is the common law was not abolished in many of the states until, as Glenn pointed out, around late 1800s, early 1900s is when we really began to lose our grip on the common law. So little by little, they would begin to take away one freedom at a time.
Well, the era of the Founding Fathers
Speak
was
up.
over. The era of the Founding Fathers was over, and the people fell asleep, and now here we are under absolute tyranny once again.
Correct. So now remember, the rights of the people, do you notice that it's lowercase?
Yeah.
Those are the common law rights. Now, I can choose to become a resident of New Jersey and register to vote. Do you know what I have to agree to when I register to vote? Citizen of the United States and resident of New Jersey. So I refuse.
You know what those words mean, right?
No, why don't you tell us?
Well, a republic comes from Latin res publica, this public thing. So you become a res ident. You say, "Oh yeah, I'm a res ident." Res is thing identified, right? You're legal fiction. You're all caps, and you become a citizen of the United States. And what else did you say? You become a
resident of the state of New Jersey, which is the corporation, not a resident of New Jersey.
It was changed.
So he has refused for a long time, the king, after such dissolutions, meaning dissolving representative houses. I guess he did it with his redcoats, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, which you were commenting on, Joe, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise.
What amazing insight.
The state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. Now remember, we're still in 1776. We have just signed the Declaration of Independence. We have not fought the Revolutionary War. We have not achieved a peace in 1783. And as of this moment, we have not instituted the second organic law, which is the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, which it'll take us a while because we have to finish the Declaration first. So I have created documents like this in proper text, grammar, whereby those are the only ones I study. Those are the only ones I quote. If I haven't, what's the word when you adulterate something? Like a lot of what we find online for what we think are the founding documents, they're adulterated. So that's polluting our minds as far as where my standing comes from.
Tainted.
Tainted, good word.
Yeah.
Tainted. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states. Let me go back, because the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise. Does that mean I have to vote good people in? No. It can mean that.
People at large means the people.
Right, which Charlie said he's the people.
Well, in the form of your common law jury, that's very much the people.
Right. So on a side note, my understanding is, and I believe this is a true fact, who is the only bar member in each state that is obliged to guarantee me the common law? What bar member?
Attorney General.
The Attorney General. So that's why all of the notices I send out in the state against the governmental agencies and officers elected and appointed, I make sure the state attorney general is noticed, because he has to guarantee me common law. He would suffer federal indictment if he fails. And that's why when the time comes that we're going to do a common law jury in New Jersey, not the state of New Jersey, in New Jersey, I will be noticing the state attorney general and demand that he provide me and us with protection from the gold fringe flag maniacs who may decide to swat us. And I'm going to be making that public ahead of time in the local city council. And I should say that when Glenn and I went on our little field trip at 10 a.m. on probably a Tuesday or a Wednesday morning, the door to the city council chambers was closed. And I gently pushed it, and guess what? It was unlocked. I believe that common law says that area has to be available to the people from 9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday, for our assembly. But who's assembling? Nobody. So I believe, and I also think the courthouse under the sheriff for the county also has to provide us with that. But I'm okay with in a municipality. It's there. It was open, and the Glenn, we went up and looked at the flag. Now, what was interesting is that there was no flag of the United States in the city council chambers where the people can assemble. There was a county flag in the other corner that had gold fringe.
Yep.
So we're working on getting that removed. That's not going to be so easy. But out on the flagpole at City Hall, there's a non-gold fringe flag, United States of America flag.
Is there a cannonball on top of that?
I don't.
You know what that signifies?
I do not.
A friend of mine told me, according to the law of the flag, it signifies that this territory has been conquered. It's under the cannonball.
And do you know where I happened to notice that? At the local post office. I was looking at it when I dropped somebody off there. When I took Glenn to go get his mail, or he was sending something out, I looked up and there's a cannonball.
Yeah.
That was on federal property.
No, Texas has never ceded anything to the federal government.
That was from the Secretary of State that I called.
Yeah.
And she
Right.
yelled at me over the phone, and I said, "Thank you very much, Clint."
Well, have
See,
you?
I knew that.
Well,
Right.
before I say that as a fact, all I did, I'm not disputing your comment.
Oh, that's here. That's
No. But what I'm saying is when I learned that the post office had to be seated,
You know, everything is in a mirror. You're entitled to trial by jury, but what do they give you?
a jury trial.
A jury trial. Here's your name. Is it your name? No, it's an alt cap. That's not the name your parents gave you at your time of nativity, not at your time of what? Birth.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to correct you, just
No,
make you aware.
I have heard that. I'm not convinced. And the way I would test that is to do a search of the legislative acts of Texas and see if there's any time where the legislature, but people who are of Texas say that legislature is not our legislature. So if, let's say for the sake of argument, that the legislature of the state of Texas did in fact cede the property for a post office, say in Fort Worth, where the main post office is, and the government of the United States accepted that property and took authority and dominion over that. People who are Texians would claim that's illegitimate, correct? So
I worked for the USPS for 30 years. Every piece of property they have, they had to buy, but they're a corporation. Just like this.
By the way, you may use the word register. You have to register to become a voter.
yes,
All right, so when you register, where's the word register come from?
Regis.
Regis, the king. So when you register your automobile, you retain possession and use, but guess what?
The title.
The ownership goes to the king.
But when it needs repairs and
Yeah, where are they then?
let's send the bill to them.
Yeah.
Actually, we're working on that because
A friend of mine used to do that in Evans.
since they own it. So let's return to the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
And in my travels, sir, forgive me, your first name?
Michael.
Michael. Michael, I'm going to check into that, and if you're right, great, then we have a fact to go with, right? And that's good because, so that's good. But that doesn't negate the fact that the gold fringe flag is evidence of occupation.
Oh, definitely.
But that doesn't mean that the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise. I have to exercise my powers as a legislator. I'm legislating my freedom. I'm exercising it. However, if we don't have a militia or whomever available to protect the state, the county, the state, our homes, is remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. So the king has endeavored to prevent the population of these states. For that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. Now, Glenn and I have a dispute on the meaning of this
Well, I think
clause. But go ahead, Glenn.
it's similar to what's going on or was going on under Biden, because they were encouraging their migrations hither. They wanted all sorts of people to come here, and so they were refusing to. They were telling them, "Come on down, we'll just let you in." You know what I mean?
They were sending government planes down to various different countries and picking them up.
Yeah, no joke. but so it's they were, the end result is that they were wanting all sorts of people to come here.
Who was?
Biden.
The deep state.
No, forget deep state for a second. Let's go back to 1776. My understanding of this clause, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, is that the King of England was not permitting new colonists to migrate here. He was preventing them from coming here because we already had kind of we were teaching him a lesson of what freedom was. He had given us too much leeway to run our own show. And then when he tried to put us back in the bottle, the genie back in the bottle, that's when we said no. That's the way I read this.
Well, yeah, that's interesting interpretation.
It says he has endeavored to prevent the population. He was trying to stop the population. He wasn't letting people here to come over here. He was preventing us from growing because we were becoming unmanageable. And that would just mean he had to send more redcoats and raising the condition of new appropriations of lands. So we'll continue. Now we start to get good. Could you make it go up a little bit for me,
No.
please? The king has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He wanted the right to decide with his judges what the results were going to be.
Gee, that sounds like administrative courts.
Correct.
That's exactly what's going on nowadays. I mean, that goes back to the Magna Carta, the same thing in the Magna Carta where it said in chapter 29, it says, the king will not go upon us or send upon us except by a jury of your peers or the law of the land. That nipped it in the bud. They were sitting there doing trials on the side of the road by their hired thugs, administrative courts again. And so this is stopping the administrative courts is what the judiciary powers were supposed to do.
Yes, ma'am. Speak up so they can hear you.
Oh, well, maybe I should have mentioned this here now, but
Well,
I'm trying to get a hold of a copy of a letter that Trump just recently sent out to all the courthouses in the land.
you got to speak loud so people want online.
To all the judges that they are just administrators.
Is that
Well, if you can get
Patriot
that,
myth?
I'd like to see the letter, that's for sure.
I'm trying to get it now.
That'd be great.
I've got somebody on it right now. I need it.
Yeah.
Good.
It's on it right now.
Right.
Good.
And it is I mean,
That
when
knocks them down a bit.
it does. Yes. I mean, am I averse to representative government? No. But when a representative government violates this Constitution for the United States of America and violates the individual rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness to someone who is not part of their regime, then yes, that's a problem.
This one guy on chat is saying star chambers. That's exactly what it is, star chambers.
Yes.
Anyways.
And Glenn has done yeoman's work for me and others, but especially, I mean, for me, it's, I appreciate it when he helps other people, but when he helps me to bring them under subjection using his understanding of the star chambers and how they're doing what they're doing, and more importantly, knows how to bring them to heel using the founding documents, the organic law, that's when the fun really starts. And we've yet to see any judges, to my knowledge, fired or jailed, but we're getting there. And maybe the fact that the executive branch had to be voted back in by the citizens of the United States who they know they're free, but they're locked up mentally and economically and politically, so their actions were to vote in essentially a benevolent dictator who has executive powers. Since this is an executive, what is it, Glenn? An executive, the executive branch is basically...
Yeah, it's a bill of attainder, bill of pains and penalties. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, the fact that we needed to have the people who are capital P people, not small p people, have to have an executive to take care of some of the overreach of the judges and the legislature. Like Trump is issuing executive orders.
Right.
My understanding is Abraham Lincoln
is the first one that issued executive orders, and it was 12 stat. I think it's 1295, which was when he ordered Congress to reconvene. That's right. Executive order number 1.
Right. Now, Andrew Jackson probably issued executive orders, but they were only good on the lands of the government, the government.
No, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. So he has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. Now we know that one of the things down the road that the Constitution did was to put judges into lifetime appointments. That was part of the Federalist Papers where they discussed that. Now, my question is, why do states not do that today? Why did they not do it? Why were judges not given lifetime appointments in the state back when, say, the 1820s? Because I guess they were elected by the people, a lot of...
They didn't want to make it a job.
Like
you
even
come in for a short situation, resolve something, then go back to your regular job after that.
So I guess now what I found interesting was, as a side note, in New Jersey from 1844 to 1947, the Supreme Court of New Jersey, I forget the exact name, had 6 lay members that were not bar members on the Supreme Court of New Jersey.
Right on.
That was impressive.
Yeah, no joke.
Right. So they weren't complete. They slowly did little things, and then eventually, after the World War II, that's when they went ahead and turned New Jersey, which was one of the freest states. New Jersey originally was actually freer than Pennsylvania in 1776. Women could vote and own land, and free blacks could vote and own land and be elected. I don't think women could be elected, but I think free blacks probably not.
From the bottom of the
Right.
food chain.
So today, could you page down just a hair? I want to talk about judges. Up. Yes, thank you. So the legislatures in the states today are the ones who are still allowing judges who are administrators to basically continue in tenure of their offices with no oversight. When was the last time a judge in a state was impeached?
Well, they used to, before 1901, they used to hang judges on a regular basis. But after, I think it's all because of the Code of Law for the District of Columbia, everything changed after that.
Right.
But as far as impeaching judges and stuff, I don't know. You'd have to go into the...
Now, I'm about to ask Glenn to make a comment about something which most people, I think, will find improbable, but I think it is true.
Whoa.
How does D.C. today influence the amount and payment of a judge's salary with orders of commitment and so on in the state systems, the current state of systems?
Well, all the state judges are actually federal judges and fall under the D.C. Code. Matter of fact, you got to think of the D.C. Code this way. The Code of Law for the District of Columbia, which was passed by Congress in 1901, is now called United States Code. And then all of these judges have to follow United States Code. And they use, there's in the Code of Law for the District of Columbia, the District of Columbia is divided into 10 districts. And so that's the 10 postal zones.
Yep.
And that's why all of these judges are actually federal. They get paid Federal Reserve notes that are meant for internal use of the government only in the District of Columbia, and they use the zip codes and the Federal Reserve notes, and I can show you in the statutes where it talks about all that.
I think the number 31 stands out to me somewhere. I did find it, and
31 statutes at large. The D.C. Code of Law for the District of Columbia is in there.
correct. And that is where judges, believe it or not, get a commission every time someone is arrested.
It says right in the Code of Law that the judge that gets a commission for a order of commitment and a transcript And there's several things that's in there then. Now, who knows what it is now? Things could have changed, but that's where they probably get more commissions for other things. They get, like when you have to pay, $150 or $4,000 for a transcript, that judge is getting a piece of that.
And so this goes back to what the king essentially was doing, that the judges were dependent for the amount and payment of their salary. So the king, through DC,
Yep.
is affecting the amount and payment of a judge's salary. So how can that judge? I've been watching on YouTube, there's a couple judges in Hayes County, Texas. There's a man with a bow tie and a white man and a black woman. And they just sit there and hand out 5-year sentences like they're nothing. Because when they order a 5-year sentence, there's a commission earned because of Washington, D.C. codes. And so they're basically writing their own paychecks. So that has to be stopped, and we're working on that. So could you page down? He has erected this is one of my favorite. Now, I underlined it back when. I guess it made an impact on me, and it still does. He, the king, has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Someone's asking who someone was eating.
Well, all of these, there's not just the city cops, there's the code enforcers, there's all the rest of the shit that's going on.
Correct.
I mean, Ken was assaulted by basically code enforcers in that county that he was in.
Right. So he has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. Can we say fines?
Yeah, no joke. All sorts of fines for anything and everything.
Jail.
Well, I don't like your teeth today. I'm going to give you a fine.
Right. The question in the chat, did the gold fringe flag march to war during the revolution? I do not think so. However,
no, it wouldn't have.
However, when there were privateers hired to capture,
that might have been a gold fringe flag.
Ships.
Yeah, at sea.
And someone stated that when a ship was captured, the flag that they were flying was brought down and a fringe was sewn around it to let everyone know that it had been captured. And of course, that's what's now in a municipal court.
Well, and think about it. That flag was infringed.
Yes.
And so I was looking in some old law dictionaries looking for stuff like that, and that's what I found. Is it actually talked about it in one definition that said when they put the fringe on the flag is infringed.
Right. So, so the question becomes how we can overcome. And, so what I was going to mention was I was under the impression, and I think it's been proven, that a municipal court is not capable lawfully of bringing a man into that court by force. Now, they will try to coerce us through force, threats, intimidation.
Resisting arrest.
Yes. And so I have been arrested and told that unless you pay bail and agree to come to court in a municipal court, that we will have to take you to the county jail. So I chose to be taken to the county jail rather than agree to bail, rather than agree to sign and agree to a contract to appear in a municipal court. Because since I believe that everything is dead in a municipal court proceeding, It's not a court of record. A man can't speak in there. It's meaningless what happens in there, which is why you have to go out to the superior or district court to have your appeal. So basically, I was able to prove that a municipal judge has no authority to bring me by force into his courtroom. So the king has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures.
Well, and that's part of the having these armies in people's houses and stuff like that.
He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. Now, the word legislatures here is lowercase. Now, earlier it had a capital L. Here it's lowercase. Why do you think that might be?
Well, that's interesting. You're right. Why? You tell us.
Well,
The previous had the incorporation,
repeat that.
uppercase indicates incorporation.
Well, my understanding is the legislature here is the men that were in the legislature. They had to consent. The men had to consent. So what's happening is when citizens of the United States elect a state legislature, because it's all in the maritime jurisdiction, it's not there's no life in it, there's no power in it. The men of the legislature are not speaking. We are not electors. We're voters.
Well, then shouldn't that be legislators?
No, because it's telling us that the men that we send because basically I asked my friend Charlie this. I said, so if common law is so great, why do we need the authority of the United States?
No.
Well, the reason is not everyone is an honorable man. Not everyone will obey common sense.
And when they don't, common law is way more severe.
Right. So they had the option of choosing, denying, saying, no, I don't want a trial by jury. I want the king's judge, or in our case, the people's judges that we've elected or appointed to be the ones to administer the justice. And everyone had that right.
Kid is on the wall.
But if I was sure that a common law jury would find in my favor, I had to agree. Both sides had to agree to the common law trial by jury. And one thing we've never tested yet, Glenn, which I really would like to do, is to find a cause of action where we go to in any municipal or district court and we're suing someone demanding trial by jury, and when that man or woman comes in and brings an attorney, what Charlie claimed was by default the judge would have to give me, as the highest court in the courtroom, whatever I asked for. Because by that opposing man, because the moment he brings in an attorney, he can't have a trial by jury. It's an oxymoron.
Some kind of moron.
And so the reason why that's important is to test whether or not the judge now is actually being an administrator, because he has to recognize the highest law that's before him. So if both people have attorneys, he gets to say what's what. If both of us agree to common law trial by jury, Charlie claimed, that the judge has to actually grant us a trial by jury. If both parties walk into any courtroom, even with the gold fringe flag, he has to grant trial by jury. Yes, Mike. Speak up.
In Texas, you cannot be a judge unless you're a bar card attorney, with the exception of a JP.
What is a JP?
Justice of the peace.
My
That's
brother
int-
was one.
That's interesting because one of my friends that's here today, he's involved in a civil case in a justice of the peace, and the guy seemed to be pretty reasonable, didn't he? Under common law, your Chrysler Capital lawsuit,
He didn't seem reasonable.
he seemed reasonable. He wasn't making up his own rules. You can speak up there.
I think the judges all know. They know the difference,
Right.
I think they know too.
and they
But
know
you have to
who's-
prove your case.
Well, yeah, who's pulling their chain.
Well, that too. That too. I mean, who's financing them? You know.
I made that statement in order to ask a question. How could a bar member judge possibly officiate over common law trial?
Very simply, in my opinion, if he swore an oath and subscribed an oath to support this Constitution, which includes Article 6, Clause 2, which it says judges in every state shall be bound, notwithstanding anything in the laws or constitution of any state. Now, it's possible that the municipal judge will say, I'm not the judge to handle this. I'm going to assign this case to a different venue where he would know where someone could actually make that, oversee such a, again, we haven't tested this. Glenn has been holding his own common law or convening us as common law trial by jury, but nothing has yet proven itself except the 1995 case where a trial by jury was conducted against a corporation and the owners of that corporation, and the common law trial verdict was upheld by
The Texas court.
by a Texas court saying they had no say, that the common law jury spoke and that's it.
That's the way it ought to be.
Right.
Because they're a fictitious entity.
Right. But the problem is that the two men who were the plaintiffs in that case, for some reason, and we don't know why yet, were basically prosecuted. One of them was an attorney, a bar member, which goes to your question, how can a bar member oversee? I happen to think they could.
See, I don't think the bar member. See, the common law jury is 12 people, and so there's really nobody officiating over the whole thing. The jury calls the witnesses, the jury questions the witnesses, the jury determines the law and the facts of the matter, and the jury pronounces sentence.
True.
Amen.
But that may all be true. But who has to execute and sign the order when all that happens?
Well, they all do. That's what that common law, the one that we got from them, was there. I had 12 signatures, and they had. Now somebody has to kind of. The clerk basically oversees the meeting, but the jury takes care of everything. The clerk just facilitates the whole thing by having all of the evidence there, and they give it to the jury to look at, and the jury, does everything. Though everything's done by the jury.
Now, I was reading something in what you sent me earlier this week that had to do with 1911, perhaps judiciary. I forget what but in it, it stated that somehow it had to do with the law is competent to give it.
Right. It says that even in the original judicial code, but
repeat what it is so that the people can hear.
It said. Well, I can pull it up here.
Yeah, please do. Because the point is to get back to the common law and to have it actually mean something in our lives. That's the question of how we do that when we're surrounded by administrators. So how can we, the people, use the existing, is it possible, I don't know the answer, is it possible to use the existing court system not to execute the law or to administrate the law? I'm okay with a judge administrating, or an administrator judge administrating the common law verdict. I don't have a problem with that appointed or elected administrative judge carrying out the sentence of the jury or the verdict of the jury.
Yeah, I suppose that would in essence be the power of the state putting their teeth
See, okay,
behind the verdict.
in 1 Stat 77, it says saving to suitors in all cases the right of a common law remedy where the common law is competent to give it. And then, and that's in 1 Stat 77, and then in 36 Stat 1611, or no, it's 1161. That's
I thought you sent me a different one today.
yeah, it's 1161. Anyways, says in all causes in admiralty maritime jurisdiction, saving to suitors, in all cases the right of a common law remedy where the common law is competent to give it. So and then he goes and this is actually taken from that WFAA TV case. It says, thus meaning competent, common law is not extending in reverse of the high water mark. So that means on the land, common law is competent. It's not out in the sea. And so that's all it says, is if it's on the land, then common law should be what applies.
Right. So the question, I mean, we've been operating under the presumption that we're the ones that have to convene a common law trial by jury and then execute the judgment. But if it's a crime, maybe that's where we need the state to be available to execute for us.
Well, and yes, you're right. And we can have them do that. Now, also, I think that the state should provide a place to do it, too.
That's what we're working on, and that's
Yeah.
where I think that the municipal, you were there, the municipal chambers locally.
Right, that was in New Jersey. I know in Canada, there's empty courtrooms all over the place. And they're de jure courtrooms, and they never conduct any business in there. They always have another courtroom that's nearby, that's where all the business goes. and they have a gold fringe. No, they don't have a gold fringe flag. They have a corporate seal in those ones. You see what I'm saying? And so, in Canada, common law is in Canada too. And so they have, like all of the, like in Calgary, there's a big, a 20-story.
8:42.
Right, we're go to 9.
15 minutes.
Yeah. So there's a big I think it's like a 19-story courts building in Calgary, in downtown Calgary, and in the basement of that building is a common law court. And I've heard about it. I haven't seen it, but I've actually seen the common law courts in other places. Like I saw one in I actually went there in southern Ontario in I think it was oh man, what's the name of that? It was in southern Ontario. It was in Metro Toronto area. I got it was a ticket for no seatbelt, and so I was going there to fight it, and I got the wrong address. The address I went, I saw this courtroom, but there was nobody in it, and it had regular court, and it had a regular flag in there, the whole 9 yards. But the court that I wanted to was actually across the street in an office building. And so that's where I had to go. But I saw that court, and there was nobody there. It had the lights on, it had everything there, but there was no court. There was nobody there. And across the street in an office building was the court that was conducting all the business, an administrative court. Now I've come to I understand that that's an administrative court now. They're all administrative.
Right. So the question would be, is there a way to test an administrative judge with two sides that both agree to a common law trial by jury to see what they would do? If both sides walk in there and say, yes, we both want to, like somehow create some controversy.
Yeah, I think that would be, I don't know. That'd be interesting. I don't know how you could create something like that because, first of all, it's usually the government that's attacking you, 9 times out of 10.
Right, but
and they're not going to agree to that.
No, I'm not asking them to. What I want to test is how we can actually cause a judge to decide whether he's going to grant. He doesn't have to grant anything. We're coming to him saying, we want to have a common law trial by jury. We're okay with you because of your oath to support this Constitution, the Constitution of the United States. We want you as the judicial officer bound by Article 6 to oversee me and Mike. We have a contract. I claim you broke it. You claim you didn't. Could be for more than $20 or $300, whatever it is. And we would have them. I would just like to run that through the system where, the whole point is we have a compact and we couldn't see eye to eye on something, and we need a jury of our peers to decide the result. I think that would be fun to try at some point. So let's just go to one more phrase here. The king has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Let's talk about that as our final line for tonight's meeting. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Is that in fact what's going on with our local, county,
yes,
and state?
Yes. They'll never admit it, but if you go to the causes and necessities for taking up arms, they go into it in further detail.
How is the DC king rendering the military independent of and superior to the civil power?
Because we're under martial law.
Yep. You have a zip code.
Yeah, you're in DC. Here it is right here. Now, the cause and necessities for taking up arms is about 4 pages. It was passed by the Continental Congress in 1775. Okay, so but it's causes and necessity of taking up arms, 1775. Statutes have been passed extending the courts of admiralty and vice admiralty far beyond their ancient limits for depriving us of the accustomed and inestimable privilege of trial by jury, right? Has anybody ever seen a trial by jury nowadays?
No.
Nobody gets a trial by jury. In cases affecting both life and property, to supersede the course of common law and instead thereof to publish and order the use and exercise of the law martial. That says it right there. And that's what was going on in 1775. That's what caused the War of Independence, and it's doing it the same thing today. But today they go and put fluoride in the water, and they dumb you down with chemtrails and put crap in the food, and so most people don't have a clue that that's what's happening.
That's a great line. In cases affecting both life and property.
They knew. They're brilliant. The stuff you go back into this stuff, and it's just absolutely brilliant. They had gone through what we're going through right now.
Only they're the ones that are doing it to us are quite clever, if you will, in what you just said.
They're more disguised.
Yes, and clever about it with the chemtrails and the food and everything. And if your enemy, which we have been declared, is sick and dumbed down, That's not a very formidable enemy to overcome for them, is it?
No, it's not. And they're busy trying to kill us, as evidenced by the fake
That's
pandemic.
called soft kill, not actually the military coming out, boom.
Yeah.
No, it's soft kill. You just kind of died on your own.
Yeah, and they
It's
make a
big
bunch of money.
pharma.
And they make a bunch of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Glenn, don't leave this page. And could you enlarge that just a hair to the full screen? Because I want to bring your attention to the words.
This one?
Yeah. And instead thereof to publish and order. So that's the legislature followed by the executive.
Right.
To publish and order
The use and exercise.
the use and exercise of the law martial.
Right.
So in today's world,
I wonder if use is talk about usufruct.
Oh, yeah, use then.
interesting. That's a very good point. So please explain why that would be important.
Well, the usufruct is Roman law again, and
So they're using the Sestake trust,
goes
the
to the
minor
Sestake
estate,
trust, goes to the minor
the
estate.
usufruct,
Yeah,
and exercise of the law martial, which is what the judges and the prosecutors are doing.
right.
And they're in on it. It's a conspiracy. And so the question is, how do the founding documents, the organic law, do they provide me as a single individual American with all that I need to be able to defeat the law martial? I think yes. Now, we have to take a bunch of knocks and bumps in order to see it happen. But one thing Glenn showed me in the course of our relationship here is that he said that if there's an occupying army, that army is responsible for civilian health.
Yeah, it's a war crime.
And care. And so I put that to the test. I went ahead and signed up for Obamacare and filled out the 1040 a couple years. This is before I understood what was truly fully happening. And by virtue of my lack of income, I felt I was qualified. The state agreed and issued me full health care. But then they kept sending me a new paper to sign every year and fill out a new 1040. So I tested Glenn's theory, and I sent a note back to them saying, basically under the law martial, you're responsible to take care of me as a non-combatant civilian and try to go ahead and cancel it and see what happens. And I was waiting to get the letter saying all my health care entitlements, they're not benefits, they're entitlements. It's been probably 6-7 years. I just keep reissuing, no problem. I get whatever I want under this
Yeah, we're under martial
the
law.
law martial. So he proved to me. And a lot of people moan and groan about their co-pays and their all this, and I just skate right on by because they owe it by virtue of the law martial. That's on the healthcare side.
That's why with a healthcare bill, all you have to do is write on it Hill-Burton Act and send it back to them. I know, we need to wrap this up. It's getting close to the end.
I had forgotten that. Thank you.
Hill-Burton Act.
Yes.
You write on it Hill-Burton Act and send it back to them.
And what is that?
That's an act of Congress, and
Yep.
and Congress will pay the healthcare bill.
And that's why anyone who has a medical bill, even though they harass us for the hospital bill,
Yeah, they do.
Eventually it gets paid.
It gets paid.
That's because it was already prepaid. Little did we know. They're just trying to collect
That's
more.
right.
Yeah, but I don't want their health care anyways.
Well,
I mean, that's death care.
Well, not always. Not if I can pick and choose my providers and we discuss how I want them to administer the health.
I don't trust him.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up. It's 5 minutes to 9, and we got to be out of here at 9 o'clock. So thanks everybody for watching. I hope we got something out of it. We're going to be doing more of these. This one is on the organic documents, the organic documents and the founding documents of this country. It's important to know this stuff because there's your answer. You got to know history. Those who don't learn from history are condemned to repeat it.
Please re-announce your Northeast private information.
Oh, yes, and don't forget, we're having a Northeast. Nelson is from Ocean City, New Jersey. and we will be having our Ocean City private information share in Ocean City, New Jersey. Let's see, what days am I going to be doing that? It's going to be in the, let me see if I can find it.
I think you can use that in my case. It's right. Thank you.
Let me see. I send out an announcement.
You say you're reading this book.
I'm in the process of reading that one, but I wrote it for one of his others. Okay? And
Here it is. So we'll be in Ocean City, New Jersey on the 12th and 13th of April of 2025. And then on the 19th and 20th and the 26th and 27th. And so if you want me to send you an announcement, send me an email at engineerwin@yahoo.com and I'll send you out an announcement. But we'll be doing, the way it works is that the cost is 4 troy ounces of silver per weekend, or $100 in fake money per weekend, and that comes with a beach house room. Okay, you get a room in a beach house 2 blocks from the water, and so you can go out and lay on the beach if you want. And it's in Ocean City, New Jersey, and so there's limited seating available. If you make reservations prior to the 15th of March, it's 3 troy ounces of silver or $75 in fake money, the banknotes. Anyways, I'll send you an announcement if anybody's interested in coming. Other than that, I suppose we'll wrap it up. Thanks for watching, you guys. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place, same channel.